I died, choking on my own blood. The taste of betrayal as metallic as the knife lodged in my gut. The last thing I saw was Mark's face, my husband of 10 years. The man I'd built an empire with, twisted in that fake sorrow as sirens wailed closer. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my body 3 years earlier. Heart pounding in a boardroom that smelled like fresh coffee and fresh lies. My name is Caroline Hale, and in this second chance, I'm not the trusting fool who let them gut me alive. I'm the storm coming for their throats. It was a Tuesday morning in the glass jungle of Midtown Manhattan, the kind of crisp fall day that tricks you into thinking life's got poetry. I remember it because that's when it hit me, the full, gut-wrenching jolt of reincarnation. Or whatever cosmic joke this was. I'd been prepping for the quarterly merger meeting at Hale and Associates, our boutique law firm specializing in high-stakes corporate takeovers. Mark was across the table, flashing that boyish grin that used to melt me, while our junior partner,
Elena Vasquez,
scrolled her phone like she owned the place. Elena, sharp as a stiletto, with eyes that could dissect a deal or a man in seconds. She'd been my protégé, the one I mentored through night classes at Fordham while I juggled depositions and date nights.
But now,
staring at her across the polished oak, I felt it, the echo of that final betrayal. In my first life, Elena hadn't just stolen clients, she'd planted evidence in my files, framing me for siphoning funds from a pro bono fund for abused women. Mark, the love of my life, had signed off on the internal audit that buried me. For the firm's future, he'd whispered as they dragged me out in cuffs. The headline screaming, top lawyer in embezzlement scandal. I'd lost everything. License revoked. Savings seized. Friends vanishing like smoke. The stress cracked me open. A car accident, they called it. But I knew better. Mark's hands on the wheel. Just a little too tight. The brake line suspiciously severed.
Suicide.
The coroner ruled. Bullshit. And now here I was, 32 again, wearing the same emerald blouse I'd picked out that doomed morning 3 years from now. My hands trembled as I gripped the agenda, the words blurring. Caroline, you okay? Mark's voice, warm and concerned, snapped me back. He reached across, his fingers brushing mine, fingers that would one day sign my death warrant. I yanked away, heart slamming like a gavel.
Fine.
Just. Jet lag from the red eye.
Lie.
I'd flown in from D.C. last night, sealing a tobacco lobbyist deal that still turned my stomach. But in this timeline, that deal hadn't happened yet. I had 3 years to unravel the threads, Elena's offshore accounts, Mark's hidden affair with her, the secret they'd buried deeper than my grave, the fact that our pro bono fund wasn't charity at all. It was a slush fund for bribing judges. A ticking bomb I discovered too late in life one. The meeting dragged, voices droning about synergies and valuations. I nodded mechanically, my mind a whirlwind of memories. The courtroom humiliation. The nights in a holding cell with fluorescent buzz drilling into my skull. The way Mark's lawyer eyes had glazed over during our divorce hearing. Already engaged to Elena by then. They'd toasted my ruin with vintage scotch in our there, penthouse overlooking Central Park. By lunch, I was unraveling. I slipped into the ladies' room, splashing water on my face, staring at the mirror like it might crack and spill out the truth. My reflection was younger, unscarred, no faint lines from prison stress, no hollows under my eyes from pills to sleep through nightmares. But I knew what lurked beneath, the rage, sharp as broken glass. That's when the first plan crystallized. Revenge isn't a sprint, it's a merger. Hostile and total. Step 1. Isolate Elena. She'd always craved the spotlight, so I'd dangle it like bait. Afternoon brought depositions in a stuffy conference room downtown. Our client, a pharma giant accused of fudging opioid trial data, was sweating under cross-exam. Elena was lead, her questions slicing like a scalpel. I watched, feigning support, but cataloging every tell, the way she averted her eyes when the witness mentioned off-book incentives. In my first life, that pharma case was the spark, Elena's anonymous tip to the feds about my involvement, twisting it to look like I'd greenlit the bribes. After, as we rode the elevator up to the office, I turned to her with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Elena, that was killer. You know, I've been thinking. You should take point on the merger pitch to the board next week. Show them what you've got. Her lashes fluttered, surprise melting into ambition's gleam. Really? I mean, I'd love to, but…
No buts.
You're ready. I squeezed her shoulder, feeling the tension coil in her like a spring. She'd bite. She always did. Mark caught up as we hit the lobby, his arm slinging casual around my waist. Babe, dinner at Le Bernardine tonight? Celebrate closing this mess. I leaned into him, inhaling his cologne, sandalwood and lies. Sounds perfect, but inside, I was carving out space, imagining the knife I'd plunge later. That night, over seared foie gras and whispers of forever, I played the devoted wife. Laughed at his jokes about rival firms, clinked glasses to our 10th anniversary coming up. But as he dozed later in our king bed, sheets tangled from lovemaking that felt like ash in my mouth, I slipped to the study. My laptop hummed to life, fingers flying over keys I'd memorized in hell's waiting room. First search, Elena's financials. In Life 1, I'd hacked her email post-betrayal, piecing together the puzzle too late.
Now,
with admin access still wide open, trust is a bitch, I dove in. There, wire transfers to a Cayman Shell Corp, dated back 2 years. Not enough to nail her yet, but threads to pull. Next,
Mark.
our joint accounts looked clean, but I knew his tells. A quick cross-reference to firm expenses, unexplained consulting fees to a ghost vendor. The affair? Subtle late nights logged as client calls, hotel charges billed to the firm. Elena's alias on his calendar, EV Consult. By dawn, my eyes burned, but sleep was for the dead. I had a secret of my own now, one they'd buried with me. The real embezzler wasn't me. It was Mark, funneling cash to fund Elena's gambling debts, Vegas high roller tables, the kind that bankrupt souls. She'd confessed it to him in a drunken haze, right before turning the knife on me to cover their tracks. I'd found the recordings on a thumb drive in his desk drawer, moments before the crash. But that was future ghosts. Today, I brewed coffee strong enough to wake the vengeful, and headed to the office early. The plan unfurled like a hostile bid, document everything. Build alliances. Make them doubt themselves before I struck. Week blurred into strategy. I mentored Elena harder, feeding her ego while slipping questions about ethics in pharma deals. Hypothetically, I'd say over salads at Sant Ambrius, if a partner skimmed for personal gain. Loyalty first, right? She'd laugh it off. But I'd see the flicker, guilt shadow. Mark, oblivious, Ramped up affections, surprise lilies on my desk, weekend getaways to the Hamptons. I went along, body yielding while my mind plotted boardroom coups. Controversial? Hell yes. Sleeping with the enemy to gather intel? In another life, I'd call it betrayal.
Now?
Survival. The merger pitch loomed. Elena's big break. I coached her relentlessly, but sabotaged subtly, a forgotten slide on risk disclosures, buried in fine print. When she presented, the board, old lions like Harlan Thorpe, who'd always eyed me as successor, pounced. MS. Esquez. This exposure analysis seems optimistic. Harlan's voice boomed, his Texan drawl cutting through the tension. Elena's face paled, words stumbling. Mark jumped in, defending her, but I stayed silent, the picture of poise. After, in the hallway, she cornered me, eyes wild. What happened? You said it was solid. I feigned shock. I don't know. Elena. Maybe I missed something.
Lie.
And the seed of doubt sprouted. That night, Mark confronted me over takeout Thai. Babe. Elena's spiraling. Thinks you're throwing her under the bus. I met his gaze. Steady as a jury.
Me?
I'm the one who gave her the shot. If she's cracking now. I trailed off, letting implication hang. He softened, pulling me close. You're right. She's just stressed, but I felt the shift, the first crack in their facade. Months ticked by, my web tightening. I poached Harlan for private lunches, whispering about leadership gaps without naming names. Firm gossip mills churned, Elena's temper, Mark's distractions. I even dated the firm accountant on the sly, platonic coffees. Really, to audit trails confirming the slush fund. Controversial? Seducing trust from underlings? In cutthroat Manhattan law. It was Tuesday. The holiday party at the plaza was my first strike. Crystal chandeliers dripped light over black ties and red lips. Jazz humming low. Elena, tipsy on champagne, cornered Mark in an alcove I watched from the bar, nursing a martini. Their heads bent close, her hand on his arm too long. In life one, that's where they'd sealed it, my downfall for their freedom. I approached, glass raised. Toasting without me? My voice light, but eyes steel. Elena startled, flushing. Mark laughed it off. Just firm talk. Love. But I pressed, leaning in. Elena, you look radiant. That necklace, Mark's taste. Her hand flew to the diamond choker, a gift I'd picked for our anniversary.
Oh.
This?
A.
Vintage find. The lie hung, and Mark's jaw tightened. Seed 2, jealousy. As snow fell outside, blanketing Fifth Avenue, I slipped away to the terrace, breath fogging the air. Below, taxis honked like angry geese, the city pulsing with secrets. Mine burned hottest. The hidden truth, the crime I'd borne, was that the slush fund bribes had shielded a bigger monster, Mark's brother, a crooked cop in the NYPD, shaking down informants in the opioid ring. Elena knew she'd laundered the take through the firm. Framing me hid it all, until the feds closed in post-accident. Reborn, I'd expose it layer by layer. But revenge demanded controversy. I'd have to become the villain they accused me of. Plant doubts. Forge alliances that blurred lines. Sleep with Harlan? Tempting. For leverage. Leak to the press? Risky. but poetic. Back inside, Mark found me. Dance with me? His hand extended, eyes pleading. I took it, twirling under lights, whispering, always. But in my head, the dirge played, not for long. The new year dawned with resolutions I intended to shatter. January's chill seeped into the office vents, mirroring the frost I'd let settle between us. Mark noticed. Of course, his texts piled up during my late nights at the library, code for digging through public records at the NYPL. Miss you.
C.
What's wrong? He'd type. Emojis heartsick. What was wrong? Everything. And nothing.
Yet.
I replied with kisses. But my real kisses went to strategy sessions with Harlan. Our mentorship lunches at Delmonico's evolved. Steak tartare, aged scotch, and confessions. Mark's brilliant, Harlan drawled one afternoon. Knife slicing rare beef. But he's got blind spots. That Vasquez girl, ambitious. Sure, but sloppy. I sipped my wine, nodding. Sloppy how? Feigning curiosity. Though I knew, the Cayman wires now traced to Elena's cousin, a bookie in Queens. Gambling debts mounting, pressuring her to skim more. Harlan leaned in, voice low. Offshore noise. And Mark's signing off on expenses that don't add up. Family ties. Maybe his brother's got that PD stink.
Bingo.
The secret's vein pulsed. I filed it away, steering talk to succession. If anything changes, Harlan. You'd back me for managing partner? His eyes twinkled, hand brushing mine. Darlin', I'd crown you queen. Controversial? Flirting with the boss for power? In boardrooms where deals were sealed over backroom handshakes. It was currency. But it twisted me. Echoes of Elena's seduction of Mark. Now my weapon. Elena unraveled faster. Her pitches faltered. Clients complained of aggressive tactics. I played the fixer, pulling her aside after a botched settlement. Hey, let's grab drinks. Unwind. At the Dead Rabbit. Irish whiskey burning our throats. She spilled. It's Mark.
He's distant.
And the pressure, God. Caroline. I feel like I'm drowning. Empathy mask on. Talk to me. Lies flowed. Her debts. The loans from Mark that weren't loans. No mention of the frame job future. But hints of their affair, stolen weekends in the Berkshires. I nodded. Sympathetic. He loves you. Elena.
But secrets.
They fester. Planted the paranoia. What if he turned on her like she would on me? She drained her glass. Eyes glassy. You think. I know men. Half-truth. I'd loved one once. Spring bloomed. Cherry blossoms mocking the decay. The firm landed a whale, a tech startup merger with antitrust teeth. I volunteered Elena for the antitrust brief, knowing it'd expose her shortcuts. She burned nights. But cracks showed, missed precedents, inflated valuations. Mark defended her. Of course. Our fights escalated, veiled barbs over dinner. You're pushing her too hard, he'd snap. Fork stabbing salmon. And you're enabling her screw-ups. I'd fire back. Voice ice. Or is there more? His denials rang hollow. Sex became battlefield. Passionate. Punishing. I'd wake bruised in soul, if not skin. Plotting while he snored. The twist brewed in shadows. Digging deeper, I uncovered the core rot. Mark's brother. Detective Ryan Hale. wasn't just crooked. He'd botched an opioid bust, letting dealers walk for kickbacks. The slush fund? Bribes to bury evidence, including a whistleblower's murder pinned on a junkie. Elena's role, forging docs to launder it through pro bono donations. My frame-up? Collateral, silencing my questions about irregularities. I'd confronted Mark once. In Life 1, days before the crash. Ryan's dirty. And you're covering. His slap echoed still.
Now,
Armed with printouts from anonymous FOIA requests, I built the dossier. But revenge needed teeth, controversial bites. I leaked a redacted memo to a journalist contact from my DC days, framing it as internal concerns about ethics. The Post ran a vague piece, Hale and Associates under scrutiny for pharma ties. Panic rippled. Board meetings tensed. Harlan eyed Mark like tainted meat. Elena cornered me in the copy room. Voice hiss. Did you talk to the press? Me? Why would I? Innocence perfected. But her glare lingered. Trust eroding. Mark came home raging that night. Bottle of bourbon in fist. This leak, it's suicide. Caroline, clients are bolting. I poured us both glasses.
steady.
Clean house.
Then,
Start with weak links. His eyes narrowed. Like who? You know. Elena's name unspoken. But heavy. The merger closed. But bloodied. We won. Barely. Antitrust cleared on a technicality Elena fudged. Celebration drinks at the office turned ugly. Elena, 3 sheets, accused me outright. You're sabotaging me, jealous bitch.
gasps.
Mark pulled her away, but damage done. Whispers spread, Vasquez cracking. Hale's wife playing queen bee. I retreated to the bathroom, splashing tears, real ones, for the friend I'd half-loved. Betrayal cuts deepest from kin. Summer sweltered, humidity thick as lies. Mark and Elena's affair heated. I tailed them once to a NoHo loft, watching through blinds as they tangled on silk sheets. Rage boiled, but I filmed it grainy.
Damning.
Not for divorce, for leverage. Harlan made his move over July 4th barbecue at his Hamptons estate. Fireworks cracked overhead as he cornered me by the pool. Bourbon breath warm. Caroline, you're wasted here. Join my firm, real power. Temptation sang. But I needed the firm to burn from within. Soon, I murmured, letting his kiss linger. Controversial? Cheating back? Poetic justice, laced with self-loathing. The climax brewed in August. Ryan's scandal broke wide. A Bronx dealer flipped, spilling on PD bribes. Feds raided Hale and Associates, seizing servers. Chaos, phones ringing off hooks, clients fleeing. Mark paced our living room, face ashen.
This is Ryan.
Not us. I held up the dossier. Pages fanned like a bad hand.
Us. Mark.
Your signatures. Elena's forgeries. And me, I found it all over again. His eyes widened, recognition dawning. What the hell? How? Doesn't matter. Voice steel. Confess. Or I walk it to the DA myself. He lunged, hands gripping my arms. You bitch. You knew. Not then.
Now?
Every detail. The fight spilled, slaps traded, truths hurled. He admitted the affair. The frame. For us.
Caroline.
To protect the family. Family. The word curdled. Ryan was blood. I was disposable. Elena burst in then, key from God knows where, wild-eyed. Mark? Oh God. The files. Triumph soured. She clutched a knife from the kitchen block.
Trembling.
You ruined everything. Time looped. Death's echo. But this time, I was ready. I backed toward the door. Phone dialing 911 silent. It's over. Elena. Drop it. She advanced. Mark frozen. You think you're better? You greenlit the bribes too, back in DC. Lie? No, memory flashed my tobacco deal. A gray area favor. My mistake. The original sin that let them hook me. The knife arced. I dodged. Grabbing a lamp. Brass. Heavy.
Crack.
She crumpled. Blood welling clean. No gore. Just red bloom on marble. Sirens wailed. My call connected. Mark knelt by her.
Sobbing.
What have you done? Saved myself. Again. Cuffs clicked cold on my wrists as uniforms swarmed the penthouse. Flashbulbs popping like gunfire outside. Elena groaned on the floor. Knife skittering away. Mark's wails a siren's counterpoint. She attacked me. I shouted over the din. Voice raw but clear. Lawyer's instinct kicking in. Check the footage. Building cams caught it all.
They did.
And in the interrogation room at Midtown South. Stale coffee in styrofoam. The pieces fell.
My dossier.
Emailed to Harlan Preaid. Surfaced. Timestamps. Transfers. Ryan's PD logs cross-referenced with firm ledgers. Elena's prints on the forgeries. Marks on the approvals. My self-defense wound? A shallow slice on my arm. Proof of the lunge. MS. Hale, the detective, hard-eyed. Brooklyn accent, leaned in. This looks like premeditated. You baited him. I met his gaze. Unflinching. Or justice. Delayed. No tears, just facts. The affair video? Leaked anonymously to his lawyer post-arrest. Tabloids feasted. Power couples betrayal. Law firm implodes in scandal. Bail hearing next morning was circus. Harlan posted. His whisper in my ear as we exited. Your managing partner now. Rebuild it your way. Power's aphrodisiac. Bitter on my tongue. Mark and Elena? Charged with conspiracy. Fraud. Attempted murder. Ryan flipped first. Cutting a deal that buried them deeper. 30 years apiece. Minimum. The slush funds victims? Those abused women. Grants diverted to bribes. Sued the firm into oblivion. I settled personally. Liquidating assets. Turning poison to penance. But victory hollowed me. Walking Central Park alone that fall. Leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. I replayed the twist, my own complicity. That DC deal? Not gray, black. I'd buried a clause letting Big Tobacco dodge liability. Pocketing a finder's fee, I'd donated anonymously. Guilt seed. Sprouting the trust that let Mark's rot take root. Reborn. I'd avenged. But at what cost? Nights blurred. Therapy sessions unpacking death's trauma. Dates with strangers that fizzled into echoes. Harlan's advances? Gently rebuffed. Power without strings now. The final confrontation came unbidden. 6 months post-chaos. Mark. Orange jumpsuit gaunt. Via video link from Rikers. Caroline, he rasped. Eyes hollowed by regret's acid. I loved you. We both did. It was Ryan, the debts. The threats. Elena. She was scared. Loved. I echoed. Screen between us a merciful veil. You killed me for it.
Hisobi krake.
The accident, brakes failed. I swear.
Lie?
Or twist's crueler edge, mechanical failure. Not malice. My death, random. Betrayals frame the true murder. Rage deflated, leaving ache. Forgive, he begged.
No. Click.
And call. Elena wrote letters. Postmarked Attica. Apologies scrawled in block print. Tales of childhood poverty fueling her climb. You were my sister.
See.
I twisted it. Burned unread. Rebuild phased in. Hale and Associates rebranded Ethos Partners. Pro Bono Corps. I mentored a new protege, young, Latina firebrand named Sophia, vowing transparency. Controversial decisions lingered. I testified against Ryan, exposing PD rot, earning death threats but clearing innocence. Leaked my own decease into the bar? Self-imposed sanction. 6-month suspension. Catharsis.
Raw.
Ending? No tidy bow. Happy would mock the scars. Tragic. The fight. Bittersweet suited. A crisp December eve. 2 years post-rebirth. Atop the Empire State. Ironic. Its lights winking like conspirators. Wind whipped my coat. City sprawl, a conquered kingdom. A voice behind. Mind company? Sophia. Bold as ever. Heard you up here. Plotting world domination. Laughter bubbled. Genuine. Just breathing. We leaned on the rail. Sharing silence. Then stories, hers of Barrios. Mine veiled as bad breakup. As midnight told. Fireworks for New Year's, early test run bloomed. To second chances, she toasted with thermos coffee. I clinked. Warmth spreading. Betrayal's ashes fertilized this. Not vengeance's throne, but redemption's fragile garden. In the mirror of skyscrapers, I glimpsed her, us stronger, scarred.
Alive.
Death had gifted clarity. Ruin them?
Done. Now. Rise.
The end? Only of them. Minds stretched. Controversial. Tense. Unapologetically mine.